世间所有的相遇，都是久别重逢。
清风明月如怀抱。
Today is Monday. We're gonna put IBM on the chart, right? As you can see, over the weekend we have made some progress, right? Managed putting about 50 or so, right? Really like players, right, in the AI robotics and stage, right? Individuals like Elon Musk, the Sam Altman, as folks, right? Institutions like the EU or Dubai, US side, the regulators, right? Not also some banks as well, right? The businesses, obviously, right? As you can see from the US, you see almost, majority of those matter, right? NVIDIA, right? AMD, OpenAI, AWS, Apple, right? Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Germany, right? Sorry, Google, and some individuals as well. We're going to come down to that. One of them is Fei Li, right? On the left, you can see put Huawei there, that Unitree, the robotics, right? From Japan, we put SoftBank there, right? The chip maker in Taiwan, even small countries like Singapore, right? India, obviously, we put a few, right? We explained why we put it there, right? So Tata is one of the big organizations, businesses, right? We need to look at some time later, right? But today's focus is on IBM, right? So over the years, mentioned starting from the cloud, right, transformation. I think up to the AI and robotics era we're in right now, the general kind of feeling, impression, could be wrong, right? Is IBM kind of disappeared or become irrelevant or less relevant, right? Kind of falling behind, right? Oh, however, right, it's another argument that, right, I think I heard they're really not competing on the large language model, AI, innovation, robotics and stuff, right? Consumer based. They are focused on the enterprise AI. They develop their own local first sovereign kind of way of doing the AI. They have a framework, the BeeAI, right? Which they can serve the banks. Or believe it or not, the banks especially, right? 70% of the really critical transactions, right, in the banking world is still somewhat, layered or directly on the host or mainframe side. Doesn't matter how many layers of lipstick you put on, right? That's just the nature of the regulated world. You have to see the point from IBM's point of view, right? The large institutions like on the right, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, right? Banks, right, like HSBC, right? And the government side as well, some large enterprises, hospitals. You cannot go wrong, right? So the approach, solving agentic enterprise, makes sense, right? It is kind of boring, but very safe, very solid, right? Very steady. So from that point of view, I would say that IBM does have is a good narrative. Right? I tend to believe it because I've been there. I really love that organization. It's one of the best institutions in our era, right? For a century or share a bit of the century, right? However, the flip side of looking at the same thing is that as such a large organization, institution, right? We tend to look to it to, something that we can respect. It should lead the world into the future, right? But again, we know that large organizations, businesses, they tend to very difficult to innovate. Right? There are different ways, very perplexed world, right? There are reasons, right? By and large, the thing, as we talked the other side about Google and Microsoft, right? IBM become much a Indian organization. Right? The CEO from the senior management to the middle management to the become more like a consulting company, right? That is good. It is encouraging. Still very important. Right? That is why we put it in their part. I think they have some partnerships, right? On the flip side, again, we try to talking back and forth and back, right? Is that I would say that as such a large organization, rather than competing, deploying and kind of cheap consultants, right, should focus on leading the world, right? Provide, demonstrate for us the real innovation, right? You still live on your stronghold in the traditionally large regulated institutions like banks and hospitals and other manufacturers, right? But again, is that enough? Is that what you should be proud of? By that, I guess many would debate with me, what do you mean by real, innovation, right? What do you mean by that? IBM is doing good. For sure, that one of the examples, I would like to demonstrate to you. You might be, monitoring or following through that Las Vegas, the CES 2026. Okay? One very short show that is between Fei Li and Lisa Su of AMD. Right? As you know, Fei Li is building up a world labs, if you will, and that's what I call true innovation. Right? I'm pretty sure like Google has a world kind of model as well. So it's going to be Young LeCun and many others. Right? It's going to come to that. As you know, that we're going to come down to Fei Li. There's a really significant individual. Right? Now, what I try to do is demonstrate what I mean by real innovation, but in the era of AI, age of AI and robotics. Right? And that's going to impact not only the consumer electronics, but also the enterprise AI as well, right? And scientific studies and space science, right? Technology, all around, right? So let's take a look. Probably you can see the own eyes what we mean by a real innovation. Right?
And while the visual quality of those frames has advanced dramatically over the years, the way we build those worlds really hasn't. It still takes teams months or even years to bring a 3D experience to life. Now, AI is really starting to change that. To show what's next in 3D world creation, I'm honored to introduce one of the most influential figures in AI. Known as the godmother of AI, her work has transformed how machines see and understand the world. Please welcome the co-founder and CEO of World Labs, Dr. Fei Li. Fei, we are so excited to have you here. You know, you've been one of the leaders shaping AI for decades. Can you just give us a little bit of your perspective? Where are we today, and why did you start World Labs?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Lisa, for inviting me to be here. Congratulations to all the announcements. I can't wait to use some of them. So it's true that there has truly been great breakthroughs in AI progress in the past few years. And as you said, I've been around the block for a while, for more than 2 decades, and I really cannot be more excited than now by where things are going. So in the past few years, language-based intelligence in AI technology really has taken the world by storm. We're seeing the proliferation of all kinds of capabilities and applications. But the truth is, there's a lot more than just language intelligence. Even for us humans, there's more than passively looking at life in the world. We are incredible spatial intelligent animals, and we have profound capabilities that use our own spatial intelligence that connects perception with action. Think about all of you being here, how you brave through airports this morning. I'm one of them, or woke up in your hotel room and get to the nice coffee shop, or find your way in this maze in Vegas to be here. All this requires spatial intelligence. So what excites me is that there's now a new wave of Gen AI technology for both embodied AI and generative AI that we can finally give machines something closer to the human level spatial intelligence. It's the ability to not only perceive, but create 3D or even 4D worlds, reason about objects and people, and imagine entirely new environments that still obey the laws of physics and dynamics in worlds, virtual or real. So that's why I started World Labs. I really want to bring spatial intelligence to life and deliver value to people.
I remember the first time I talked to you about your concept for World Labs and your passion about what this could bring. Tell us a little bit about what your models do so the audience gets a feel for what does this really mean?
Yeah, well, I heard that there are gamers out there, so this is very exciting. So traditionally, building 3D scenes requires laser scanners or calibrated cameras or hand-built models using pretty sophisticated and complicated software. But at World Labs, we're creating a new generation of models that can use the recent Gen AI technology to learn the structure, not only just flat pixel structure, I'm talking about 3D, 4D structure of the world directly from data, a lot of data. So give the model a few images and even one image, the model itself can fill in the missing details, predicts what's behind objects, and generate rich, consistent, permanent, navigable 3D worlds. So what you're seeing here on screen is a Hobbit world that's created by our World Labs model called Marble. We just give it a handful of images, and it created these 3D scenes that are persistent, and you can navigate. You can even see a top view. And our system transformed a few visual inputs into a fully navigable, expansive 3D world. And it shows how these models not just reconstruct the environment, they really imagine cohesive worlds, wondrous worlds. And once these worlds exist, they flow together and allowing effortless transition from one environment to the next and scaling into something much larger. And this is much closer to how humans piece together a place from a few glances.
Well, it looks pretty amazing that you can do that with such little input. Now, can you just show us a little bit about how the technology works?
Yes, definitely. Let's just ground it in real world a bit more from the Hobbit world. Let's do something that you're very familiar with. So over the break, our team went to AMD's Silicon Valley office. I hope they got your permission. And
They did not, but that's okay.
okay, well, now here we are. We just use some regular phone cameras. There's no special equipment, just phones to capture a few images. And then we put them into World Labs' a 3D generative model called Marble. And then our model that can use AMD's MI325X chip and the ROCm software stack can create a 3D version of that environment, and including windows, doors, furniture, size, and a sense of depth and scale. And keep in mind, you're not looking at photos, you're not looking at videos, you're looking at truly 3D consistent worlds. And then our team started to have a little more fun and decided to
You decided to remodel?
Exactly,
Yes, yeah.
for free for you. For different design styles, right? I don't know which one you guys like the most. I personally really like the Egyptian one, but maybe that's because I'm going there in a few months. And while this transformation is keeping the geometric consistency and the 3D inputs, so you can imagine this can be such powerful tools for many use cases, whether you're doing robotic simulation or game development or design. What would traditionally take months to do in a typical workload, we really could do it in minutes now. And we can even navigate into an entirely different world, like actually the Venetian Hotel. And we just did that yesterday by taking a picture and then put it in the model, and then had a little fun. And then it turned this whole place into a 3D imaginative space. And now I'm sure you guys can take pictures and send it to Marble and experience this yourself. But what you don't see here behind the scene is how much computation is happening and why inference speed really matters. The faster we can run these models, the more responsive the world becomes. Instant camera moves, instant edits, and a scene that stays coherent as you actually navigate and explore. And that's what's really important.
You know, Feifei, I think you're going to have a few people going out to your website to try Marble this evening.
We'll keep the server up.
But look, that looked really amazing. Can you just share a little bit about your experience working with AMD and our work on Instinct and ROCm?
Yeah, of course. And even though we are old friends, our partnership is relatively new. And I got to be honest, I'm very impressed by how quickly this came together. Part of our model is a real-time generative frame model. It was running on MI325X in under just a week. And then with AMD Instinct and ROCm, our teams were able to iterate really rapidly over a course of a few weeks to improve performance by more than 4-fold. And that was really impressive. That matters because spatial intelligence is fundamentally different from what came before. Teaching AI to understand and navigate 3D structure, have motion, understand physics requires enormous memory, massive parallelism, and very fast inference. And I was seeing your announcement. I can't wait to see platforms like MI450 continue to scale, and they will give us the ability to train larger world models, and just as importantly, to run them fast enough that these environments can feel alive, react instantly as the user or agents move, explore, interact, and create.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you for those comments. Your team has been fantastic working together.
Thank you.
So, Feifei, with all the compute performance that we're going to give you and all of the innovation in your models, give the audience a view of what to expect over the next few years.
Yeah, I know, and as you know me, I don't like to hype. I think the world...
This is called under-hype, Feifei, so...
No, I think we should just share what it is. It is going to be a changing world. A lot of workflows, a lot of things that were difficult to do will actually go through a revolution because of the incredible technology. So for example, creators can now experience and create real world scenes, scenes in real time, shaping what's in their mind's eye, experimenting with the space, the light, the movement, as if they are sketching inside a living world. And then intelligent agents, whether it's robots or vehicles or even tools, can learn inside very rich, physics-aware digital worlds before they even need to be deployed into the real one, making them much safer, make the development much faster, more capable, and more helpful to people. And designers, for example, or architects, can walk through ideas before anything is built, exploring form, flow, materials, and navigate spaces rather than just staring at static plans. So what excites me most is that this represents a shift in how AI shows up in our lives. We're moving from systems that understand words and images passively to systems that not only understand, but can help us to interact with the world. So Lisa, what we are sharing today, which is turning a handful of images or photos into coherent, explorable world in real time, is not a glimpse of the distant future anymore. It is really the beginning of the next chapter. So you and I talk about this even offline. We know as powerful as AI technology is, it's also our responsibility to deploy and develop it in ways that reflect true human values, that augment human creativity, productivity, and our care for each other, while keeping people firmly at the center of this story, however powerful technologies are. And I'm very excited to partner with AMD and with you on this journey.
Fei, I think I speak for everyone. You are really an inspiration to the AI world. Congratulations on all the great progress, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lisa.
世间所有的相遇，都是久别重逢。
清风明月如怀抱。
世间所有的相遇，都是久别重逢。
清风明月如怀抱。
世间所有的相遇，都是久别重逢。
清风明月如怀抱。
All right, I think we've seen what a real innovation is, right? That is very new, latest in Las Vegas CES 2026, where the CEO of AMD, Lisa Su, right, and the CEO co-founder, very well known mother of AI, call that I don't like those kind of things, but Fei Li, right? It is quite a significant individual. They formed the partnership, right, and to push next kind of world models, right, if you will. Like, the DeepMind, Google are doing that, similar thing, but a different approach. And Yang LeCun is going to maybe gear towards that as well, using his own new startup, the ventures, right? But join together with other scientists and partners. I'm pretty sure many others going to come in, right? But for now, it's kind of still new, still kind of innovative, right? And if you remember that what IBM has been, right, it's been quite a respectable. Hopefully you don't take my comment as criticism. No, it's out of the respect because I've been there, right? Really, it is such a large national or world pride, right? You should do better. It's good that you rally the stocks and you come back, you earn your money, you sell out of consultants. You have very good predictions, by the way. I watch IBM, very talented folks, and give predictions in 2024 year end, and in 2025 actually worked out. Right? And I watched it again, same thing, physical AI, and then robotics, and so on and so forth, enterprise on the edge. I'm pretty sure they're going to work out, right? That's probably a reflection of what IBM internally, the think tank, money, talent, they're still very up to the moment what is really going on. But hey, I mean, you should come out and be the leader, innovate. Right? It's only innovation is a sure way. To create new revenue, right? Open new opportunities, right? There are many ways to rally the stock price. There's only one way to do real innovation. Right? There's no cut corners, right? No shortcuts. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably a different approach, or it's probably could I call it, don't have a real leader there, right? Thinking about the cloud era, right? Probably Watson came too early, right? And then AlphaGo took the glory, right? Then cloud, right? Google and just catch up, and AWS pioneered, and Microsoft really getting in. And Microsoft is kind of very sweet. Right? Like current, we examine that, we look through that. Azure, Microsoft had a kind of lost a little bit, but again, they're very aggressive, very quick to innovate, right? The partner with OpenAI, but OpenAI tried to make a statement, some anonymous, we're not part of Microsoft per se, right? We're bigger than that, right? We need $7 trillion to do this and that. That's interesting, right? But there's also a way to maintain the leadership, right? They have a lot of innovations. They have a lot of money for sure, right? And IBM also has a lot of money. You need to innovate. Right? Don't take all large organizations cannot innovate. Partially true, but you don't have to be the one who prove that, right? It should be the opposite, right? And of course, you have a stronghold in enterprises like the banking, especially the government, the healthcare, manufacturing. But again, don't dwell on that. Don't just survive or on whatever you have been established. Just do better, right? Do better than your predictions, right? In any case, I think we at least hopefully you get the point. What is real what is real like innovation? Right? What real innovation is really kind of look like, right? I think I showed you, right? That hopefully you get the point. What Fei Li, Lisa Su of AMD just demonstrated to you, right? Remember, like, I think 10 years ago, a bit more than 10 years ago, that basically doing that image net, right? And then Professor Hinton, Jeffrey Hinton, and Ilya, and they have the AlexNet, right? And then started all this data-driven kind of AI instead of the deep network, neural network, and convolution. Yeah, that's a paradigm shift that push the large language model forward, right? Those what we call real innovation. We need that more than just you see a stock rally or something. That's great. That's not enough, in my opinion, right? Yeah, we're going to look at AMD for sure, and also the Larry, that the Oracle side, right? But we had to take one by one. As we said, over the weekend I put, but 50 also really significant individuals, businesses, institutions, as you can see. That Singapore, that Federal Reserve Bank and JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, this kind of. The reason for that is that they are the large partners of core innovators, right? You need regulators, you need large funds, investment, and you need also a real business who use your AI to test it out, like enterprise AI. You got to find a good enterprise, right? And you also need to find a revenue generation opportunity, not just efficiency, cutting costs, make it better. No, that's not enough, right? Anybody can do that, right? Even visual AI, you can do that. So what is the real use case of AI? Create a new opportunity, open new doors, right? Like crypto payment is certainly one of the things, right? It's going to really impact and redefine or redesign how not only consumer AI but enterprise AI, physical AI, you name it. There's many innovative names, right? You give it a different name, you want it mean A, B, C, it doesn't matter, right? It's going to work out. It's kind of it's an ecosystem. We're all part of it, right? It's like the creative payment, right? And how we study and how do we search, right? Deeply impacted, right? And obviously how we're going to do banking, how we're going to even define what money is, right? Elon said we'll have dance, using AI. That's great, right? So that's where is IBM in that picture, right? That's what I want to see, right? It's not a criticism that we restate, right? I gave it a lot of respect, and what you have done is great, right? So now let's look at. I really like the strategic approach at IBM, right? BeeAI, local first, sovereign cloud, with a regulated environment. That's, I actually probably be his first, advocates or even jump in and try it out myself. And I promise you, probably I will, right? That's really good. But yeah, again, same time, raise the bar. I really looking to IBM to become the leader again, to innovate, to push, right? You have the talents, you have, the capital, you have the large pool of talent, right? Especially packed up with India. They have a lot of talent in the AI side, right? They're great leaders there, huge market. You have all the potential. You can be the leader, right, in the AI robotics era, right? Now let's look at what the strategy BeeAI really is, right? So, okay, we're taking banking as a domain, but there could be any other regulated domains, right? The catchphrase, if you look at it, right, is sovereign agentic enterprise, right? They do have a roadmap, right? From sort of utility, they have a deep dive, strategic deep dive, right? As said, the keywords are sovereignty, regulations, and infrastructure, right? Some sort of banking executive, if they look at this, what they think, right? So they take it and plug into their a bank and the financial institution or any other, like a hospital, and try it out, That's what you want. You have to invite people, motivate them to take action, right? To throw money in it, to be part of their business, right? Okay. Now let's take it slowly, right? The pivot, right? Avoiding the Nokia moment, fantastic. Yeah, you should avoid that. The acquisition, right? That's encouraging, and they've done quite a few other acquisitions of late, right? It's also strategic, right? Kind of shifting away from App Store to the operating system for regulated enterprise, right? Client zero philosophy. What is that? IBM sees the consumer app development to focus entirely on engineering the platform. We do not compete for eyeballs. We compete for transaction security, right? Boring but safe. Okay. Well, I guess Elon Musk might agree, right? You had a boring company, right? Is that safe? Any case, all right. I guess this is kind of a use case. Fragmentation is the issue. They try to illustrate that. What is the problem? The critical fragmentation trap. The challenge was has evolved from trading with the data to governing autonomous workflow. Okay. I think it's taking the typical banking KYC fraud detection and probably some sort of transaction, right? Swift monitoring, that's payment, right? Oh, probably real-time fraud detection and risk scoring, right? Okay, they're all siloed, for sure. Right? Even in the AI era, it's still siloed. It doesn't change the fact, right? They might on a tech stack entirely different, right? LangChain, open source, IBM, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, OpenAI, you name it. Or Elon Musk, you don't see XAI or Grok coming or Meta, right? But Alama is there, certainly, right? They have zero common memory, right? Siloed. Right? Even worse than siloed data, right? They have hand-off protocols. How do they communicate? Okay. That's a good catch in terms of the problem statement, right? Okay, now they have a BeeAI framework. They have ACP, Agent Communication Protocol. All right. Essentially the handshake through the standard agent communication protocol, right? All right. Like HTTPS or something, right? Protocol. The open governance, Linux Foundation, prevents vendor lock-in. That's important. This is all right, local first. My data never touches the public cloud. How about that? Local first philosophy, right? Ensuring the data sovereignty. You have some sort of data wall, airtight, gap there, firewall, sovereignty by keeping the state persistent within the parameter. All right, at runtime, that's token memory management, vector database. You have private data lake. It's a good architecture, long-running investigation, context. Right? I think the latest paper that DeepSeek multi-thread or multi-head attention, or multi-fault. There's a couple of papers come out. I think we mentioned it, but we will dive deeper. There's plenty of people doing that. We don't have to compete there. Let it sink in a bit and see if it's something that worthy mentioning. We're gonna jump on that. We need to synthesize and see what is the real thing there, right? Give it some time, right? We're not competing for headlines of break news or whatever, surprises or shocking or whatever. That's too much for that. The hardware mode where the AI lives, zero latency, catching the fraud, the moment of the swipe. Very encouraging. Mainframe, right? Have on-chip mainframe. Wow. Okay. Real-time fraud detection, 0 latency. Wow. How do you achieve that on-chip mainframe? What does it mean? The deep reasoning engine optimizing the industry edge AI. Does IBM develop some new chips or something? Oh, that's interesting. And branch off with local servers, complex investigation, local processing, high throughput. Okay. I'll dig deeper later on. So this is, okay, some code. Technical implementation, the sovereignty stack. Okay. Yeah, you can build a local cached knowledge base, like enterprise regulated some contracts, database from kind of probabilistic to logical SQL API kind of thing, right? That's very encouraging. That's all we need. Hardware layer, NVIDIA RTX 6000 ADA, IGX Orin, right? I'm using Spark. I think this is probably what I need. Linux, the OS layer, container layer, Docker, NVIDIA container, Kubernetes, right? They might need to run on some sort of a cloud, right? Before the Linux, right? Container, right? Be part of the runtime configuration. It really depends on how you depict the stack, right? Inference layer can be open source, or Llama can be IBM models, or right? If you are a large bank, for example, Morgan Stanley, right? You could deploy the whole OpenAI or Anthropic locally, right? And use that. And otherwise, you could, when necessary, get out of the local and still kind of augment by calling the API outside, right? Really, like when you need it. For example, you might need to communicate with the partners, third party on other cloud as well, right? How are you going to manage that? Again, a question, right? All right. Technical implementation, the router kind of architecture, the hybrid sovereignty. Okay, hybrid sovereignty. Compliance, KYC, balance, safety, and intelligence. Contains PIA, or PCI. All right. You're going to get into IBM model, or you can get into DeepSeek model, right? Or you can even go outside if you just need a map or branch location, or you need to do the wire transfer or call another banking API for payment or something like the crypto payment, right? In Europe, in Dubai, right? In Singapore, or cross-border. That crypto payment cross-border kind of scenario, blockchain, you got to think through. Probably this is a good solution, right? Okay. Yes, comparison between IBM model and OpenAI. Obviously, they try to illustrate IBM is better, risk, right? Risk profile, latency, accuracy. Yeah, that's good, right? Hopefully, this is. I like that, right? Bank needs a compliant accountant, not a creative poet. True. A geopolitics, supply chain. You need a Switzerland strategy. Okay. What does it mean? Indian pivot, China exit, right? EU, US, all kind of AI Act, DORA, Watson. Okay, this is more like physical AI, quantum computing. Right? I think IBM is eager, probably invested quite a bit in the quantum part, but how well they're doing. I heard Google is making some advances. Also, China lately announced 150 qubits, I think, stable. Probably they did in the space station somewhere, a quantum computer, stabilize it a bit. But that is where, right? If you get into space, your world view going to be different. Right? Competitive landscape, the Significant Seven. All right, IBM, Microsoft, Nvidia, AWS, and Google. Where's Azure? Oh, it's Azure. Okay. Where's Anthropic? Primary focus. Governance agency, right? On-prem mainframe. What is an on-prem mainframe? You're going to provide new chips. What is it? New hardware, regulatory risk, and storage unstructured voice PDF. Yeah, mainframe is more like a local cloud, right? Hopefully it comes back. When I doing that mainframe 30, 40 years ago, right? It's more like cloud that I understood, right? Microsoft productivity. All right, Microsoft will for sure advocate, propose, SharePoint, GitHub, Azure. They have their Cosmos, right? Nvidia training hardware synthetic needed, right? They don't have any sort of storage on the edge, and AWS is S3. Obviously, they can have a bedrock, right? You can get all the models that you need, right? Google, same thing. Public web high and cloud for sure. And here is, yeah, control, bank one. Control, mitigate risks. You need to validate the sovereignty, BeeAI plus NVIDIA IDX pilot, right? Local first, you need to mitigate a risk, do a bit of routing, right? Depends on the risk level, right? The future proof. A lot of questions still. I don't see the answer, but this is very encouraging. Right? Okay, it's more of a visual capture that. They want the enterprise AI dominance, right? All-in-one enterprise AI platform, orchestration, government, agentic AI, multi-model. Okay. What is next, right? Orchestration there. The strategy, partnership, and acquisition, the Anthropic. Yeah, finally. Trust, Anthropic is pretty big and aggressive on this enterprise AI. But OpenAI is come pretty soon, if not yet, and Google will push it. So the Microsoft, not sure how much lead time they need, but certainly Anthropic is under quite an intense competition, right? Probably it's better than come into the OpenAI so that they can team up, right? Yeah, IBM done a couple field. Oh, they got the Confluent. That is Kafka Drive, right? Is that same thing or not? I had to find out. It's kind of just announced, right? App Show, that is FinOps, cloud cost management, and HashiCorp, there's more like hybrid cloud automation. Interesting. Okay, it's another visual, right? Essentially telling the same story from a different angle, right? There are 3 or 4 points that should catch your eyes. One is the 70%, right? That's IBM's leverage. Still, believe it or not, 30, 40 years later, right? The banking side, the global banking transactions, 70%. I believe it, right? Still, those critical data and the transactions still processed in IBM, right? The switching cost obviously kind of high. That's why people just put a lot of layers of lipstick, right? Doesn't matter, right? you name it, right? The middle tiers, right? Still needed, right? Those microservices and all kind of stuff, right? SOA, if you remember. Then the other point is the silo, the fragmented agent, right? They need a kind of agent communication protocol or something, right? Then sovereignty imperative, a lot of regulation, and local first. The banks need safety, right? You need to maintain memory even, right? All the data are local. Okay? And the sovereign solution, a local first architecture. If you only look that is they are winning the enterprise with sovereign kind of imperative, right? The control, not just hype. As I said, it need a compliant accountant, not just creative point, right? All right, the primary goal is enterprise governance agency. Cool. And sovereignty, small language model. Probably more like domain specific, right? Multimodal also require. Ontology is another hot topic we need to explore a bit, as from Palantir. I believe it's kind of past, right? It really means they're just doing the dirty work. Right? Data engineering is hard. They're just down to earth. They actually done it. Right? It doesn't mean you can copy. Probably not. Yeah, they can rally their stock prices like IBM did. It doesn't mean you can copy that. It's probably not even suitable for the AI part, right? But if you switch the table, you might use AI to do it faster, right? Rather than use that to accelerate your AI adoption. Right? Whichever you need to really, think through and do your homework, right? Don't just take it as oh my God, as a strategy. They've done it. Doesn't mean you can do it. Right? Okay, let's take a deeper dive and then we can close. Okay, this previously just one thought that I did my research, I put it together, but now let's look at on the web and how they say maybe slightly kind of some not so current sources, right? But nevertheless, it's a different perspective, more like it's like surveying the public and on the crowd in the street, right? So what they say, right? Kind of a couple months late. All right. The landscape, the technological shape, and strategy and governance and future. That's good. Yeah, the tipping point. I like that. All right. Cost, dynamics, usage, actual use case, right? Sentiment. What are the barriers? And the barriers to entry is crumbled, right? Validating fit for purpose model, right? You do their own. Eventually, every large enterprise eventually get to build their own model, right? That's inevitable. That's what AI is for. What doesn't matter open source, you can use it, right? You can partner with OpenAI, a big model, but eventually you need not only your own enterprise model, AI model, but also your ontology, your real ontology, right? Your data, how you have to learn. You cannot just build an AI engine and put in a bicycle or something, right? No, it's not going to work out, right? It takes time, right? You cannot look at the rear mirror to drive the Mercedes, a high-speed train, right? Of course, maybe not the best analogy. You have to look, to the front, focus your eyes on the right thing, not just using the old sort of the old methodology, try to do the AI thing. That may not work. Yeah, it's gonna be from formal fear of reaching out to the really like what are the return on the investment? I guess this is one of the fallacies of IBM, at least the current leadership. I don't know if they have a real leader there. You cannot focus on all the things on the ROI. Right? That's important for sure. You need to pay your shareholder. The stock price is important. But again, at the same time, you need to be the leader. Long term, that's your real revenue is going to come from, right? I mean, I think turning some years ago, you can from a really kind of respected kind treasure or institution, right? Become, a body shop, like selling cheap consultants, right? Why don't you give that opportunity to other smaller players? Right? There's so many of them already, millions, right? They need also to make a living, right? And you, as a respected institution, you should focus on something like at your level, right? Not compete. Like Alibaba for a moment, right? They even selling like cabbages on the street corner. Right? Well, yeah, that's fine. You can do it better because you have the skill, you have the technology. But what about those people who need to sell cabbage for a living? Right? Why do you compete with them? Think about it, right? That's a wrong thing. Right? And also another failure is that they try to go so kind of carried away on the end financial. Really examine that. That's a huge, huge failure. Right? Making money cannot be the only goal. Right? But for example, making real money, revenue, right? You have to be innovate, be the leader, right? That market capitalization will drive you towards a real future, real revenue, right? You have to create new opportunities, not just sucking on the existing whatever thing, right? Just squeezing kind of. Yeah, you can see a short-term jump, rally. It doesn't mean much, does it? Right? Doesn't mean long term. Long term, you might lose out because of doing so good currently, because you take the wrong path, right, to future. You really kind of withdrawing your future, right? I don't know if you get it, like IBM. I mean, this is precisely why I'm going through, investigating, researching, thinking through, right? Big or small, you're not immune to be kind of becoming irrelevant, right? The Nokia moment or the iPhone moment, whatever you call it, the Lehman Brothers, right? There are many large institutions, like even empires, right? It's like the snow melting on the river, right? You can go. It's like, I'm doing another series on Rome, right? Same thing, right? You got to really observe, right? Don't be so proud of your, short-term victory, right? If you're looking for a long-term glory, right? Yeah, we're looking at the model hierarchy in OpenAI, Anthropic, slightly old, right? Look at Gemini 2, yeah? Rebellious, don't know what Elon Musk is going to come to show us, right? I don't know if we're going to get into the enterprise AI part, but certainly it's going to be heavy on the robotics, right? And hopefully get into the more scientific part of it, right? Other than the Tesla and the SpaceX, right? The Boring Company, a lot of other ventures, right? Try to put the solar energy station, right? Generate energy, electricity in the sky, right? It's a good move. Let's say that, the Neuralink in the brain, right? That's something really, really, real innovation. But not sure. Have cider kind of different opinions, right? There are many others, right? He's doing. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Hopefully, IBM have some leadership there, right? You got to play your part because you are respected. Right? All right. I don't think there's a lot of things to look for here. Human in loop. Okay. And nothing here. Okay, risks for sure. Physical AI game, breaking the gap. All right. IDX. Really, how do you do the local mainframe thing? I'm kind of curious. All right. Getting physical, right? The robotics thing is go open or go broke. All right. Integrates Anthropic into that. This is another way security in the age of AI. Yeah, you have many analogies. Oh, that coding part, Anthropic is really good, particularly like OpenAI and Google very quickly, Copilot, right? GitHub. I think Meta is going to catch up from China. The Queen, Alibaba, DeepSeek going to release 4.0 very soon. You're going to watch, right? I'm going to watch one. And I watched a panel like from ZAI, that GLM, general language model, right? From, let me see the person, right? From the Moonshot AI, from Alibaba, obviously, and one person from OpenAI. They kind of joined together. I agree mostly. The open source model have limitations, like in terms of the racing competition. The AI from the China camp probably holds 20% of winning, right? 80% is still US is going to be taking the lead, right? But again, they have a lot of innovations. This competition is healthy, right? Kind of stimulating. Enterprise AI part, the AI open source have a better shot, but again, long term though, how do you really sustain yourself, right? The entrepreneurial, the whole marketing, investment, cash flow, consumer behavior, it's a problem, right? Hopefully, like the acquisition, Meta got minus, maybe. Hopefully, they're not going to stop it. But again, it's going to set some sort of precedence. You have to watch out really carefully. Right? There are a lot of things happening. Right? But yeah, I mean, I watched their debate. It's kind of interesting, right? They also talk about this physical AI kind of thing, but they have a very. I'm going to review that later on, but companies like this, there are money. Right? That's where the innovation comes from, right? You got to commit real money, but okay, money not the only thing, right? It is probably the most important part. You have to, people need to make a living, right, before they can, focus on that research and innovation, right? You have to be fair, right? They have to earn a living, right? They're not doing charity, right? So before I go, let me just show you, right? Let me show you. Who do I mean? Right? Okay, this is the guy, right? Moonshot, if you will, Moonshot AI, right? And here's the Unitree, right? Minimax, ZAI, right? There's a couple others from Alibaba, right? From the OpenAI guys try to join WeChat, I believe, right? Like the Baidu, right? I mean, the Apple has to partner with Baidu in order to use the AI in China. That's one of the regulatory stuff. Right? In India, obviously, Google have large. You heard of the unified payment platform or something, right? That's behind it was Google. A lot of things, right? IBM Lab and Microsoft Lab all kind of exit from China and move to India. That's why I put them here. It's a lot. They have a large talent pool. Slightly more friendly regulatory in terms, complementary to the US, right? long term is going to work out beautifully if they have a leader, right? Any case, that's what we mean. And we come back again, see, right? So, okay, I think we jumped ahead a little bit. That's what it is, right? That's what it is. Okay, navigating the regulatory paths, right? Copyright litigation, data sovereignty, Europe, China, fragmented US as well, the red teaming kind of thing, right? You have to beware, right? Microsoft use that a lot, right? The system cards, transparency, right? Again, the data wall, right? We all know that energy eventually is the determinant, right? If you have no energy, where your computing power is from, right? You can have all the chips sitting there eating dust, right? That's why it's not a cheap thing, right? And that is why many countries probably, like I don't know how Mistral from Europe is going to catch up, and it becomes a problem there, and probably some unrest as well, right? Okay, the data wall. What is that? The interregular running out of public text data, shift to synthetic data. Many years ago in Britain, right? If you know, there was a mad cow kind of thing, right? Because they're eating their own, whatever, right? From the cow as well, like bones, whatever, tissues. I don't know, like the training models on synthetic data, yeah, it's fine. But not with running out of data is because, the way the data is dead corpse, right? Like Tesla is not running out of data because, the other day I mentioned a couple of times that I'm sitting in the car, they navigate like smoothly, right? Because they're using real data to train their model, right? That's why I believe that XAI, growth in a way is more real in a way, right? Of course, they're not having any access to the banking data or regulated domain data, medical files, right? Or financial transactions, probably don't, right? So let's see. All right, orchestration is nothing new. Okay, now I think which slide should we? This is probably where the tipping point is. We need to look at, and also this. But eventually, we can continue next time in an hour, probably. Over the time, hopefully, if you don't have time to listen through later on when you have a need, please do, right? It's going to really help you. If you're a person like looking to dive into the AI or getting deeper, if you are trying to focus on enterprise AI, especially if you're in a large enterprise, you want to know the path, the direction should be focusing on, or you really should listen carefully, right? I'm going to produce more, and really just share whatever I've been thinking through. But if you're a person who wants to start a AI business, right, then hopefully it's going to benefit you as well, right? Don't do the thing that can easily be crushed or overtaken, right? Focus on the few things that I think I mentioned that provide true innovation, right? At the same time make the cash flow, right? And the way that either complement of your partner or something that you think these large companies probably, don't have time to, or not even interested, right? It's too small for them, right? That's probably a domain-specific kind of thing, right? A little bit of niche thing that you should be focused on. Right? There's a lot of opportunities, right? As I mentioned, right? Not only AI, but the applications of AI, the genetics of AI, physics of AI, right? Like look in the hand, if you can, somehow get the skin or nerve, right? Or kind of gesture, right? Thinking of the AI in banks, right? The transactions, monitoring fraud, and also some crypto payment cross-border. How do you make it sovereign? And I still think, right? blockchain, how do you even using AI to really enforce the governance, right? And to monitor the smart contract and so many things, right? They could do. The data engineering, sovereignty, we talk about sovereignty, can you not develop something that, push the ontology to make it better and easier to develop, right? That's the power of AI as well, right? Agentic, that orchestration, right? That's extremely challenging, but if you could do it right, there's quite a future there as well. Okay, we got to close, right? Hopefully you pick up a couple points, right? We'll continue next time. So this is like IBM, right? So, all right. So let's look at that. We started by kind of looking at how IBM is doing, right? And then we turn to show you what a real kind of a real innovation is, like Casey Lee, Lisa try to do, right? The world loves, right? In any case, we're gonna continue next time. All right, thank you. I'm gonna play some music for you. Thanks.
对酒当歌，人生几何？譬如朝露去日苦。